Portia de Rossi has appeared in some of the most popular shows of the last 2 decades, but these days, her biggest role seems to be as Ellen DeGeneres' supportive spouse. Was her decision to step out of the Hollywood spotlight because of bad roles, a new career path, or could it have been because of Steven Seagal? By 2010, Portia de Rossi was starting to take a step back from acting. After appearing in Better Off Ted from 2009 to its cancellation in 2010, de Rossi released her memoir Unbearable Lightness, a story of loss and gain, which details her personal turmoil. De Rossi opened up about her decades-long struggle with anorexia and bulimia, which had a catastrophic effect on her body.
Never feeling good enough about your body, never always feeling like if you weighed a little less somehow you'd be happier.
Speaking to Oprah Winfrey upon the memoir's release, de Rossi revealed that her eating disorder began when she was just 12 and got progressively worse when she entered the modeling and entertainment industry. She said she felt humiliated after being asked to perform a striptease scene mere episodes into her turn as lawyer Nell Porter on Ally McBeal, leading to an aggravation of her illness, as de Rossi explained. Now, this happens on TV. You don't really have control over where your character is heading. The only thing I really had control over was how I looked and what I weighed. I was constantly looking for external validation. How was it? How did I look? In addition to her eating disorder, de Rossi opened up about her fear of being outed as gay, having kept her sexuality a secret throughout the filming of Ally McBeal until she was outed by a paparazzo. Given these negative experiences in the industry, it's understandable that de Rossi chose to take a step back from the limelight. Fans were overjoyed when Arrested Development was rebooted by Netflix in 2013. De Rossi reprised her role as the self-righteous Lindsay Bluth, but critics claimed the actor looked a far cry from the character fans knew and loved. Many social media users agreed, accusing de Rossi of having a nose job or facelift, thus looking unrecognizable as Lindsay. In an interview with TV Guide, series creator Mitch Hurwitz jumped to de Rossi's defense and argued the change in her appearance was due to a vegan diet and a bad wig, saying, "One of the reasons Portia looked different is because we had to put a wig on her, and it looked bad. I asked, why does this wig look like this? And the hair person said, oh, it's too small. Oh, for God's sake. I think if I wore a wig, I'd look different." As an actor, upholding a certain image is undoubtedly important to one's longevity, but as Flavor Wire argued, remarks about de Rossi's supposedly modified appearance were a reflection of a sexist and ageist culture rather than the actor herself. Portia de Rossi's most recent film and TV projects performed poorly, which may also help to explain the actor's absence from our screens. In 2012, de Rossi was cast in the ABC sitcom The Smart One, which saw her in a starring role as a girl boss having to contend with sibling rivalry. However, the series never went beyond the pilot. On the big screen, she returned to her native Australia to appear in the comedy Now Add Honey in 2015. Again, the project was poorly received, with the Sydney Morning Herald branding it a mess. It remains her last movie role to date.
I can't just play a character for the sake of it. I need to say something with that role.
One of de Rossi's only successful projects outside of the Arrested Development reboot was Scandal, in which she was cast in 2014 in the recurring role of Elizabeth North. Her character was killed off in 2017, as de Rossi had apparently requested to depart the show to focus on her business ventures. She told Variety, "I am incredibly grateful for my time here at Scandal. Shonda, Betsy, and the cast have been incredibly supportive of my decision." Chatting to The Hollywood Reporter in 2017, de Rossi elaborated on her decision to retire from acting so that she could embark on a business venture instead, saying, "I found a great business opportunity I wanted to pursue that was taking my interest away from acting and a career I've had for 20+ years and putting it elsewhere that was very time-consuming." The business in question was consumer arts company General Public, which seeks to make art more accessible to the masses rather than being the sole preserve of the elites. The company accomplishes its goal by creating 3D art prints of sought-after works.
If they can 3D print organs, we should be able to print a painting.
She co-founded the company with her brother, Michael Rogers, who utilized his tech expertise for the venture. As a lifelong art collector and enthusiast, de Rossi felt propelled to co-found the company as she wanted to share her extensive art collection with the public. In an interview with Nashville Interiors, she discussed her desire to move beyond the narrow perception of her as an actor, explaining, "As an actor, there are people who only do film, and people who only do television or only do commercials. There's a million different ways to express yourself using that talent. And as we're seeing with acting and in that media, things are changing." When the Me Too movement gained momentum in 2017, de Rossi spoke out against rampant sexual harassment in the industry. On X, formerly Twitter, she alleged that Steven Seagal sexually harassed her when she was auditioning for a role in one of his movies. After calling de Rossi into his office for a chemistry test, Seagal allegedly unzipped his pants. As she wrote on X, "I ran out and called my agent." Unfazed, she replied, "Well, I didn't know if he was your type." Ellen DeGeneres voiced her support for de Rossi following the claims. Seagal did not respond to the claims, but previously denied sexual misconduct allegations. De Rossi wasn't the only person who accused the action star of sexual impropriety. Juliana Margulies alleged that Seagal asked her to audition alone in his hotel room, where he kept a gun. Lisa Guerrero also alleged that she was invited to a private audition with Seagal, while Ray Don Chong accused him of exposing himself in front of her. Portia de Rossi has always been a reluctant star. She rarely does interviews and was noticeably absent from the press tour that the rest of the Arrested Development cast participated in. During an appearance on The Ellen Show that year, de Rossi opened up about her decision to quit acting, acknowledging that she felt uncomfortable doing press and appearing in the limelight. She said, "You know, I was approaching 45. I kinda knew what acting would look like for me the next 10-20 years. But following the untimely death of Anne Heche in 2022, de Rossi unwittingly found herself in the spotlight again. A 2021 interview in which Heche gave de Rossi a warning about DeGeneres resurfaced upon the star's demise. On her Better Together podcast, Heche purported that DeGeneres got with de Rossi because she'd always been keen on collecting Portias, with Heche alleging, "Portia even asked me about Ellen. I'm like, you won't be the poster child, girl, because guess what? That poster child has already been taken. And by the way, it wasn't a great spot, but yours ain't gonna be any easier."
And I'm telling you now, like, red flag, red flag, red flag.
Heche did not elaborate, and neither de Rossi nor DeGeneres responded to the claims. After quitting acting, de Rossi made a surprise return to Arrested Development in 2018. As she explained on The Ellen Show, she was emphatic about wanting to leave acting behind for good. But Mitch Hurwitz didn't quite heed her protestations. As de Rossi recalled, "I called Mitch Hurwitz, who's the creator of Arrested Development, and I said, if there is a season 5, I won't be doing it because I quit acting. And he seemed really, understanding. And then he wrote me into 5 episodes." In an interview with Entertainment Tonight, de Rossi revealed that she made a one-off exception for the Arrested Development crew, coming out of retirement to appear on the series, explaining, "I have to say I love Arrested Development so much, and if I wasn't a part of the season, I would be so sad. I'm happy to be a Bluth. Once a Bluth, always a Bluth, I say. So apart from Arrested Development, I have quit acting." However, her return to acting was not without controversy. Namely, fans were confused by the very obvious green screen that accompanied de Rossi during her scenes as Lindsay Bluth. Since then, de Rossi stayed true to her retirement promise and has had no further acting credits to her name. In 2020, Ellen DeGeneres' alleged problematic behavior came to the fore when 10 former employees accused her of bullying and creating a toxic work environment. Among the bombshell revelations in an exposé by BuzzFeed News were claims that the host was complicit in the racial abuse of Black employees, as well as the firing of a suicidal employee. A former employee alleged, "They kind of feed off of that like, this is Ellen, this is as good as it gets. You'll never find anything better than this." After keeping a low profile amid the scandal, Portia de Rossi broke her silence to support her wife. On Instagram, she posted a blue square that read, "I stand by Ellen," along with the "Be kind to one another" slogan that has come to typify DeGeneres' brand. She also alluded to bots supposedly being behind the hostility levied at DeGeneres. In 2021, DeGeneres broke her silence and sat down for an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. She revealed that the toxic workplace claims came amid a particularly difficult time in her and de Rossi's lives, the couple having suffered a home robbery and 4 of their pets dying in quick succession. During a show for her Ellen's Last Stand-Up tour in 2024, DeGeneres opened up further about the impact of the accusations, which she said severely affected her relationship with de Rossi. As she told the crowd at her show, "It was devastating. It took a long time for me to want to do anything again. Portia was watching it happen to me. She went through it with me."